these boot camps give people a real sense of like the physical infrastructure that makes the internet work.
And then it's not scary or intimidating.
Right.
It actually makes sense. You don't need a PhD to figure it out.
Welcome to another episode of the Community Broadband Bits podcast.
From the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, and for the first time ever, from a diner. I'm here in Los Angeles with Sean.
That's right.
Masto Sean.
Masto Sean is what they call me.
Sean, the Bootcamp Master.
Okay, after two, I'll take it.
We just had a fun week with a lot of events and didn't have time to record a show because, Sean, were you busy this week?
No, not at all.
Did you have a moment to think?
Not at all.
We were just running a couple of events to help people have a better sense of how broadband works and whatnot. And so we wanted to reflect on that briefly. It's going to be a short show. So, Sean, you want to do a quick recap of what we did this week?
It was the sixth Tribal Broadband Bootcamp?
That's right.
Right? Number 6. My first.
Technically, it was number 5.
Okay.
Because the first one was number 0.
Got it. So you follow the math. So I went to the 6th, which was actually the 5th, which was actually my first.
At Gila River.
At Gila River.
At the best hotel we've ever stayed at, possibly.
Oh, for sure. But it was it's a 3-day, and I think it was the most that we've had it.
It was the largest,
right?
Yep.
In the neighborhood of about 65.
Yep.
And there were a number of folks from different tribal nations that were there. For me, I'm just going to go right to the part that I thought was what left the biggest impression on me, was just the attitude of we've got to figure this out, and even though this stuff can be challenging and difficult, we're going to push forward and do it anyway. And it was also eye-opening to see how far along some tribal nations have gotten. We should also say, of course, that tribal communities are among the least connected communities in the country. Yeah. But the Gila River community, they run their own telecom operation.
Yeah, they're one of the older ones. They had bought it from the company that eventually became US West. It might have been US West at the time, which became Quest, CenturyLink, and now Lumen. But they had bought it, I think it was like 26 years ago or something like that. Mm.
And now they're in the process of, I think they're pretty close to building out fiber to the home.
And they're almost done building it out.
Right, yeah. on the reservation. And then within and it's called GRTI, that stands for?
Gila River Telecom Incorporated.
And there's a couple of subsidiaries within GRTI, and one of which is a company where they're actually even building out connections outside of the reservation.
Yeah, so, that's Alluvion.
Yeah.
And we had so many great people from GRTI that came and helped out with training, that supported us, that delivered really great background, like Rachel, their security expert. It was fantastic. They had a guy from Alluvion brought their truck, their splicing truck, so we got to see that and how they lay it out. It was terrific to have that level of support.
Right, and I think one of the things that makes these work so well is that, I mean, obviously there's talking and people kind of laying the table, you and others that are there, but there's a lot of interaction. The stations that they were there, the
first night we have a dinner and introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Then the first day, that's sort of like, we think of that as like day 0.
Right. Here we go.
And then we have the first day, and we do crimping, RJ45, so like Ethernet cords, in order to just get people talking to each other and working with their hands a little bit and building something. And then we do some digital equity. Then we have a great lunch. Oh, we also had a great breakfast. Really cool breakfast. It was all catered by a woman who has a new catering business, so we are able to support her on in the reservation. Mm-hmm. So then we had lunch from different vendors each day, basically, and then we
ate a lot and we ate good.
Yeah, we ate a lot and we ate good. And then in the afternoon, we talked about fiber. We talked about fiber and planning and stuff like that, and like the basics of that. And then I don't remember what else we did. We did that for a while.
We did, and then
it was too much talking. Like, I like doing small groups and breakouts.
True, and there were small groups and breakouts. And one thing that I think one thing that I think is a good element of the Broadband Bootcamp is the presence of National Digital Inclusion Alliance folks. where most of the boot camp obviously focuses on building networks and operating networks. It is important to include the other A's, so to speak. Beyond access. Things around adoption and digital skills training and meeting people where they are in terms of even when the infrastructure is there, even when services are there, how to best utilize them, how to educate communities around that. So I thought that was good, and I think some of the activities that they provided were folks had fun with that.
Yep. Yes. So. Then every day we do what we call a tribal broadband case study, where we're digging into, in that case, GRTI, to help people understand what a tribe has done to build a network or what they're planning to do. So that was most of the first day. The second day we did some more digital equity with Abby and Davida, who they just do a great job every time.
They do. They're a good pair.
So that was terrific. And then for Tuesday, which a lot of times people haven't really thought about it in this in-depth way of all these different challenges of why different people aren't using it. So one of the things we always hear in our surveys is that people really love that. But then we went and started talking about operations and operations challenges and things like that, which is a big focus of this event. We didn't do much wireless at this event. Mm-hmm. And then we had lunch, and then that's when the fun really started. And I'll say that in the sense that this is a boot camp, and the idea that we want people to be out doing stuff, touching stuff, and so we had the fiber stations.
Right.
For all of the importance of digital equity and operations, it is hard to use your hands with that stuff, and this is a boot camp.
Right.
So we got out, we did fiber stations, we had 4 of them. One was touring of the truck and getting a sense of how the truck works. One was getting a sense of some of the products at the home and how that technology works at the end of the network.
Right.
With Calix, had a person who'd worked at the Gila River for a long time.
That's right.
And he came and helped us understand that. There was a station on fiber splicing,
right.
Fusion fiber splicing, and then we had the station with the splicing was with Mike and Nick
from Merit.
Did the from the Merit network. He did a station on OTDR and other tools and how to clean the tools and keep the fiber clean.
Right, checking for faults in the fiber and what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so those 4 things were people really enjoyed it. So he had what's called a launch box, which is 5 kilometers of fiber in a little lunch box.
Right. Well, you kept calling it the lunch box.
Yeah, it's a launch box, but it's like a lunch box. 5 kilometers of fiber in it, wild, and that gives you can test out the OTDR. And which is something that just tells you where the faults are or problems with the fiber.
Right.
So anyway, those are 4 things. And it's every 10 minutes, every 16 or 17 minutes, people would rotate to a different station.
Right.
So we had 4 groups.
Which probably for some of the stations might not have been long enough. Like I was at the fiber splicing station, which to me was the most interesting to see how fiber gets spliced. And what I thought was cool too is that there were a number of folks in the group that had, first of all, had never seen it, and had never done it. And then jumped right in there and did it. And one woman that was there actually spliced the fiber according to the machine a little bit better than Mike. So So she took a bow for that. That was cool. And I think which reminds me that when folks were reflecting on the entirety of it, because there were a number of people there that worked in sort of in operations or in administrative or in customer service at the Tribals Telecom, and so for the first time, kind of got a real appreciation of what was going on out in the field, and kind of what went into, fixing things when things went wrong, or building things, and I think overall, a lot of folks, although I think the survey, they people really liked that was their favorite part, and it was also not their favorite part.
Yeah, so we do surveys to get a sense of how the different parts of the day go. And the fiber splicing stations got the most votes as the most productive part, and also the most votes for the least productive part, which is kind of an interesting split. So it was an interesting one, but this is one of the things that I thought is important. People don't always appreciate. We're bringing in people, some of whom have a lot of technical skills, some of whom don't. Some people are at day 1 of the job, some people it's day 20. And one of the things we want to accomplish is having people see other aspects of it than what they would normally do, right?
Right.
So some people are just like, I just want to work on outside plant. I want to be outside in a truck. I want to go around. I want to build stuff. I want to fix things.
Right.
I don't care about how to get an elder online.
Right.
But we're like, yeah, well, you should know.
Right.
You should know about this stuff.
Right.
And someone who's in on the phones, it would help if they have a sense of what you're going into in the field.
Yes.
And just what are they actually even doing out there?
Yes. Another aspect of it all is the networking, and I don't mean that in the physical sense, but in the sense that there were folks there from Hoopa Valley, there were folks there from Navajo Nation, there were some folks from different pueblos in New Mexico, Alaska, different people in different tribal nations coming together, meeting each other. In most instances, I think for the first time, and just being able to sort of exchange information. And there was a phrase that Matt used in there, which is like, I've made tons of mistakes, and we should build on those mistakes. And so
it's a mountain of mistakes.
A mountain of mistakes, and I thought that was a really good thing. So it's not just about here's what to do or how to do things. It was just as valuable, if not more valuable, to share challenges that people were facing, or experiences they had, or mistakes that they made, that they can share to avoid that.
Some of which aren't even public. Some
Right.
of this stuff is like we're talking candidly with each other, and it's not meant to be shared widely.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we're really lucky that the federal program officer for Arizona,
NTIA.
Nicole was there, and she was great. So she was helping answer questions and talking about what is going on with the different programs, and had some great discussions with her throughout it. And then on Wednesday, the final day, we got together and we did more operations. We did some NTIA stuff. With Nicole to finish up additional questions there. We talked about security, and that was, I think, eye-opening for some people. That also was another one where a lot of people were like best, and a few people were like, eh. So, but so it's sort of like, what should you do?
Right.
What are you probably gonna do for real?
Right.
One of the things that I took away was she was just terrific. She's like, it's not if you're gonna get hacked.
It's when.
It's what you do when you're gonna get whacked. Yeah, it's when and what you do at that point, because it's gonna happen.
Yes.
That's the nature of where we are at this point. So anyway, it was great. It was inspiring, and I mean, one of the things that I always love is when I see people step up. And one of the women who had not ever spliced before, she, someone who'd been working for a long time at the Hona Atom, and she hadn't really done technical things before. But on the third day, when Nick had to take a call, and there was a break, and people wanted to splice, she started teaching them. And she had 1 day of experience, and she just got up there and started teaching them.
Right.
And I love that so much when I see that happen, right? And so I'm so excited at these events, and it was the largest one yet. It was so well supported by the people there working for the tribe at District 4 at the Service Center, and it was great. And I think there's talk about doing more. I would love to do one with Hopi Telecom, another one of the older telecoms that's finding its way now. And so it seemed like they were enthusiastic about that. And there's just so many great people that are doing really cool things.
Yeah.
And I showed you, I think, one of the survey results. I just loved it so much. There's one that I showed you, but there was multiple people who were like, I didn't think this event would be for me. I think sometimes these are people who are told by their bosses that they're coming.
Right. Yeah. They were voluntold.
Yeah, exactly. and they were like, I thought it would just be awkward and I wouldn't fit in. And they were like, and this was great. I really learned a lot. I met people. I just felt really welcomed. That's so exciting when I hear that from people. I know that that's good. And then the other thing was, and we've heard this from several people, I thought it was going to be like a conference. I thought I had my laptop. I sneak away a bunch of times, but I didn't even think about anything else.
Right.
I was just.
Folks were super engaged, which, when you're talking about technology that many people find mystical or at least in their brains is too complicated, and to see folks engage like that, and I think that's actually one of the values of these boot camps too, is that it does demystify, I think, and kind of eases some of the anxiety that some people have around dealing with, feeling like, I don't know enough about technology. And so I think that's another real value that these things have.
So let's fast forward then. So Wednesday, we wrap up.
Yep.
We go and we had some great food.
Yep.
And then we got up super early.
Super early.
Flew on separate planes
Yep.
to LA.
And somehow I beat you to LA even though you took off sooner than I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if your plane was flapping the wings.
It's because I was on it. I weighed it down.
Okay.
So we get here, we collect, and then we get to the next event, which is Digital Equity Summit in LA, organized by the Digital Equity Coalition, CCF. We talked with Shayna in the past about this. Mm-hmm. That was great. I don't want to spend a ton of time rehashing it. You're going to write a story about it.
That's right.
Maybe we'll get posted before the show. Maybe not. We'll see. Right. But like, what's remarkable is, and people should check out this story that Sean's going to. It's going to be a headline story on MuniNetworks.org about this. But the CPUC, the regulatory body of California, developed these maps of priority areas for broadband, and they are not good.
That's an understatement.
The maps are bizarre in that they highlight the most wealthy neighborhoods in Los Angeles County as a priority, and put a low priority on connecting some of the highest poverty areas that don't even have good connections. Right. I mean, we've talked about this in relation to Baltimore. Right. Where, Comcast serves every address, they say, more or less, and yet tons of people don't have connections. And we know that that's the case. Here, it seems like there's actually areas where, like, Charter isn't even claiming to offer service, and they're still not labeled as a priority for the CPUC. Right. It looks to me like it doesn't look to me like the CPUC is like, we don't value that. It looks to me like literally something went wrong in the process. Right.
Right. And hats off to the two data crunchers that came from the CPUC to sit there and kind of, have to kind of take the brunt of folks being,
Those were Michael and Michael, who one of whom is an advisor to the chair of the commission, and so they've been around for a long time. I think they're representing the commission, and so they mostly were able to listen to that and explain the position. But I guess I don't want us to get lost in this, but like, it's just something people should be aware of and check out. For sure. There's this question of what areas are going to be prioritized, and it is not reflective of what I think a normal person would think of as a need to where we should be prioritizing. So I think we're all hoping that the CPUC will reconsider those maps and come out with something that is not only more accurate according to a normal person, but I think in fitting with the statute, which asks them to consider issues like poverty.
Right. And one aspect of the summit, though, that I thought was really was really cool is that most of it wasn't about things that were wrong, and certainly those maps need to be addressed and reflect reality, which they don't currently do too good of a job. But they were also celebrating, different victories, including, LA County right now is really starting to build out in certain areas, and underserved and unserved areas within some of these, neighborhoods in Los Angeles, where we are now. By the way, we're in like a diner that looks like a scene out of Pulp Fiction. But there was just a lot of energy around what can be done, and it was great to see so many city officials, county officials, digital equity advocates in various coalitions coming together and having and sort of wanting to really have already built some momentum and working with both the county and the city and figuring out what kind of assets they have and how to move forward. And I think they all have a sense of, we can do this. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, there's all these sort of difficulties that we're running up against, but this is something that isn't too big of a job. It's something that can be done. And so to me, that was also inspiring.
There's a lot more to be said, but we're going to leave it there to get to today's event, which was the first, what we think of as urban, but they don't have to be urban, but this happens to be Los Angeles, a digital equity bootcamp, in which we brought together people, and we did it with, like Shayna was able to get a lot of people to come in. We had about 30 people, I think is what I counted. And hosted at the Bureau of Street Lighting, which is really doing great work, great agency in Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. So like, this was an event that was hosted in the city of Los Angeles, the Bureau of Street Lighting, which is for the city, but a lot of people that came were interested in the county of Los Angeles being fixed up. And then it was also supported by Michelson 20mm, and they have some just terrific program officers, one of whom is trying very hard not to laugh here. But Michelson 20mm was one of the first supporters of the Tribal Broadband Bootcamp, and made this one possible also. Supporting this Digital Equity Bootcamp, and we're super thankful for the support and for attending. That's one of the reasons why we see stuff happening here.
That's right.
Is because of funders like CCF and Michelson 20mm. I think focusing on smart strategies, long-term strategies, not just trying to get money out the door on strategies that might not save the test of time.
Right, and being on brand, not wanting to necessarily be in the spotlight or being out front on things, because the work is more important, and that's good. No, today was the first, technically, or was it 0 or 0.5?
We'll call it 1.
Okay, we'll call it 1. Okay, it's the first Urban Digital Bootcamp, and
from us.
From us.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. We don't make it sound like we invented these things.
Nobody ever thought to get people together and help educate them.
Ever. It's never been done before.
Inspire people to learn something new in a personal environment.
And I certainly learned, I learned just as much as anybody there, just in terms of, the Bureau of Street Lighting and it being sort of this department within the Public Works
I think
Department.
we're going to be doing a show with them. Because the Department of Street Lighting has Conduit, and they're ambitious about using that to make Los Angeles a better place beyond just having great lighting and small cells and things like that from AT&T and Verizon and whatnot. They're very proactive, and it's exciting. But so we did this thing. It's a work in progress. People were great. They had good questions. I felt like it was a little too lecture-y, but we still had a bunch of fiber and conduit and devices to show people how things come together.
Got to see some equipment, some machinery.
Oh yeah, the Bureau of Street Lighting has a horizontal boring machine, and so they were showing us that how it works. After we showed the video of Travis's network in Minneapolis, where we have some video of that, and people get a sense of how fiber optics work, and some of the business model concerns, some of the challenges, how wireless fits in. And it's a day of people, many of whom are involved at a political level, or in some level it's not technical, and they got to have a day where they could learn a lot about the technical aspects of it. That'll help fill them in for how this stuff all fits together. Right,
which is important because they're obviously they're operating in an environment with juggling a lot of things, dealing with a lot of infrastructure challenges and issues within to say nothing of the politics that are often involved. So it was good. It was and again, I was actually surprised how well intended, and even with you speaking, I didn't see anybody fall asleep.
Yeah, no, I tried. There were some heavy eyelids once or twice. So yeah, I did a lot of speaking, and it's a lot of. It was there's some PowerPoint, and then there's some of the actual physical stuff, and then we went out and people could see a vault out on the sidewalk where that was an electrical vault. Would have a sense of how it works underground, and just giving people a sense of the internet runs on fiber optics, how the data goes from place to place, the different ways that you can do it. And the answer to everything is it depends, from the costs to the time it'll take to do anything. And just giving them a sense of all right, if we were going to build a fiber network, these are the things we'd have to think about. And everything from how poles work to underground boring and the business model considerations.
The other value I think of these boot camps, whether they're tribal boot camps or the urban digital boot camps, is that I think it gives people a sense of, and this was certainly the case for me, prior to getting into this work. I think with the way a lot of people think about the internet is this thing that's floating in the air. And I think these boot camps give people a real sense of the physical infrastructure that makes the internet work.
And then it's not scary or intimidating. It actually makes sense.
To know...
You don't need a PhD to figure it out, right? You need as low as a few hours with some guy that likes to talk.
A few hours.
You could get more with more hours.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think is important to communicate is that, I think a lot of people are feeling this internet thing is so complicated. We need AT&T or Comcast or Charter to figure it out. No, the internet more or less does this thing. You want to build a network for your area, you connect some people, you got to figure out how to share that with other people, how to share that network and connect to other networks. That's all stuff people can figure out, right? And the challenge is how to keep it alive and operating, and that gets difficult. But none of this stuff is something that requires years of study. You want to have people that have experience with it, but like there's no degree in like building an internet. There's a lot that happened this week. It was a great week of talking with people, and I feel like so I'm going to be going to San Antonio next week with Deanne, and we're going to do the second digital equity bootcamp, and we're going to keep learning lessons. We're going to be talking with lots of folks over the year, I hope, and doing more of these.
And coming to a city near you, I hope.
Right. I mean,
I always wanted to say that.
but we do. We want to supercharge this, right? There's a lot of people who are trying to do good work. Some of them are new to broadband. Some of them aren't. But I feel like we're in a place where we can share a little bit more knowledge. We're not the best experts, and if someone else is going to be able to like work with all these folks and do the better, I hope they'll step up. I'm not saying I'm the best at this, but like we're trying to do something, and it seems like it's helping. So that's where we're coming from. That's where we're going.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean.
Oh, I love it.
We have transcripts for this and other podcasts available at muninetworks.org/broadbandbits. Email us at podcast@muninetworks.org with your ideas for the show. Follow Chris on Twitter. His handle is @CommunityNets. Follow muninetworks.org stories on Twitter. The handle's @muninetworks. Subscribe to this and other podcasts from ILSR, including Building Local Power, Local Energy Rules, and the Composting for Community podcast. You can access them anywhere you get your podcasts. You can catch the latest important research from all of our initiatives if you subscribe to our monthly newsletter at ilsr.org. While you're there, please take a moment to donate. Your support in any amount keeps us going. Thank you to Arnie Hughesby for the song Warm Duck Shuffle, licensed through Creative Commons. This was the Community Broadband Bits podcast. Thanks for listening.